It's a 10-second intro to the Lightbringers podcast back on Twitch Live. Oh, it's happening. Now they can hear you if they would want to.
Oh,
Right
yay.
now? It's happening right now? There we go. That's what I said
Right
a
now.
few seconds ago.
Right effing
Right
now. Right here, right
I'm
now.
I'm not ready. Could we give it like 10 and then maybe reconvene?
No, it's
I
my
like the
job
sound
to
of
delay
that.
things as much as possible. No one else's.
What if I have to go make my chicken nuggets?
You crafted their chicken nuggets, Jebro.
Yeah.
I support the love of chicken nuggets, so if you need them,
Thank
go get them. You can go get them.
We'll meet back here in 40 minutes.
Okay, I'll see you then.
It takes you 40 minutes to cook chicken nuggets?
Well, I don't cook them like a heathen. I actually roast them.
He's gone. Like, I'm gonna get those honey. I'm gonna get those honey chicken nuggets.
No,
You'd like that
you
crew.
microwave their nuggets?
Wow,
Like,
we
what's
just got to
going
see
on?
Rook walk away. That's terrible. I was like,
That was great.
no, I
I
mean,
can be your angel or your devil.
that was me being sarcastic. That was sarcasm.
Oh,
Oh,
it was
yeah,
the English sarcasm. Sorry.
Okay, no, it makes sense. It
Cultural
sounds just the
differences.
same as all the other normal things that you say.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, true. I am an actual butthead. Trying not to say arsehole.
Oh.
Whoops.
Not a butthead, Jebro.
I'm in America now.
No, you're beautiful.
Oh,
If you are a butthead, you're like a really good butt. You
Thanks.
know, like a top
Yeah,
tier butt.
you're definitely cheeked up.
ooh.
You're caked up like curves. bro.
Caked up on a Thursday.
Tell you what, as you get
Yeah,
older
yeah.
though, I
It's
tell
sad.
you, there's no stopping gravity. It's tougher. It is
You
tougher.
could try like backstreet concrete. It's not safe.
How?
Is
though.
that slang for something? I don't
No, like
know.
some people who get like botched surgery, you just get like concrete put in it. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I'm still confused.
What?
Yeah.
What was
And
it?
then you got to get a rolling pin and roll it out because if you don't, it coagulates.
You're just you're messing with us right now.
I'm not. I'm actually
You're
not.
messing with us.
Actually
Crew.
not.
No
Wait,
way
people
people
get-
pump their butts full of concrete in
It
botched
has
back
happened.
alleys.
I'm not. I am
I mean,
not,
isn't that
like,
just
I
what
am
like?
not joking.
Isn't that technically what people do to like their foreheads and stuff? Anyway, it's not concrete, but like it's like you can get butt filler, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's just it's a filler. Anyone? Sorry, we're not gonna go there. It's too early for the stream for that. So butt fillers. Anyone?
Think about you today.
Oh dear.
Don't forget to roll the sill. You also have to roll the silicone. If it's silicone, you have to roll it too.
Oh dear. It's very warm in here.
Ooh. Oh boy!
So hot.
Wow, I missed you. I missed you, Bo.
I missed y'all too.
Oh man.
See, Smudge gets it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been, yeah. We know Smudging gets it. Sorry, no. Oh my god.
Wow, Jeff. Okay, well maybe you are a butthead.
That was so good. Smudge, I'm gonna message you real fast. That was so good.
Oh,
Yeah, that.
wow.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
what we mean.
Smudging in chat. He's getting roasted by Jebro. Accusations of cement butt filler flying left and right. Wow. All right, Jeb. I mean,
my God.
Jesus.
Oh,
Don't drown.
oh.
please don't choke on your beverage.
If anyone
Everybody
just,
heavy.
if everyone just, no, I was choking on my like own laughter. That's what happens when I laugh a lot. Just get really like, congested. If this is the first
Felt.
time you have ever listened to the Lightbringers podcast and you are on YouTube or Spotify or something else, this is about Guild Wars 2 and not how you can work on your butt. That's it, actually. Just work on your butt, I guess, I suppose. Butt Wars 2, yes, we'll go with that.
Butt Wars 2.
We are responding to things going on in chat as well, which you can't see unless you're live on Twitch or watching the VOD on Twitch. So if you do want to check it out, it's 1 p.m. Pacific on a Friday. Right, every other week of the moment. It might ramp up, a little bit more as we get closer to the expansion, which is coming out on the 20th of August, which is not far away at all. It's 4.5 weeks, I guess. ish. 4 weeks next Tuesday.
What? Oh, I guess we're less than a month away though.
Yeah, we
Or
are.
is it?
Because it comes out the 20th, and
Yeah,
it's currently
okay,
the
it might actually be then.
26th. So it's
Oh my
But funnily
god.
enough, World of Warcraft's expansion launches in a month. So there's a lot of
Oh
MMO
my
content.
god.
We're right around the corner. We got Guild Wars. We got some WoW. We
Dawn
had
Trail
Final
just happened.
Fantasy. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
God.
I'm still
On
working my way
Tuesdays.
through that.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm in Stormblood. I'll get there in a second, in a day.
My favorite thing ever is that Kroof keeps coming by my stream, and I love it. I love seeing you, first of all. Thank you so much, friend. But every single time, my brain shorts out, and I'm like, hey, Kroof, how are you enjoying Dawn Trail? And Kroof's like, oh, I'm loving it. I'm in Stormblood, which is 3 or more expansions back.
Yeah.
But thanks,
I love Picto. I love seeing Pictos in my party. I love seeing Viper. So I think my impression of Dawn Trail is really positive at the moment.
Yeah, that's
Can
great.
you give
No,
us
I
your
love
impression of Dawn Trail? Is that what you
What's your
meant?
favorite
Pretty
part of Dawn Trail?
pretty colors, fast blades.
No. I thought you were talking about like an impression, like you were going to do an impression of it.
Oh, I know there's like
Wow, Chris
I don't
just
know
missed
much,
the joke.
but I know there's like a two-headed creature, and I've seen some like fun stuff on Twitter about them, ranging from very wholesome to
Truth is still missing
extremely
the point.
horny.
Yeah.
Crave.
I would
wanted
do
you
an impression of them, but I don't know how they sound.
of the
One day
I was
when
going
you
to
get
say
to
of the
Dawn Trail, you
entire
will.
expansion. I wanted like an impression of it, like a
Oh.
visual creation.
I need like a big ass box light just in front of my camera real fast. That'd be
Okay.
my impression. Like when you started up, boom, like it's a flashbang. I've heard.
There's a flashbang. That's actually pretty.
It's a very bright, sunny loading screen. Yes. It's beautiful though. I love it. But you'll get there one day, Kroof. And I have finally caught up to the fact in my head to remember and hold on to it instead of my brain sieving the information as though it was sand pouring through like a many hold cup, or one might say a sieve. I have remembered
sieve?
still back.
And do you
in-
call it
in
a sieve in America?
Sieve? Is that
Sieve.
is it sieve by you, Jebro?
Oh, that's pretty good. Wow, Jesus. You're from. Is she a sieve, alright? You sound like you're from proper London, you do.
That was very Londonish.
It was
That
very good.
English.
It was very
It's so
good.
nice.
There was like. Yeah, you sound like a rice scumbag. That's great.
Oh yeah,
That was really
did I
good.
perfectly encapsulate being a butthead? Did I do it?
Yes.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Now, who's Beavis? Out of the two,
Who's Beavis?
I think Rex Beavis.
I think Rick's Beavis as
That
well.
was a very Beavis.
I think Rick is. I agree.
All right, fine. All right, I accept this.
You just
All
gotta
right.
go like this a lot and just do Conholio and throw toilet paper around.
I don't have any toilet paper right on hand, but I'll prepare it for the next Lightbringers, I promise.
So much homework. Kroof is getting a big light box and you're getting toilet paper.
Ah,
I'll just do what
and
I'm
we're going
gonna
to the
do.
same store.
I'll get a
We're gonna
haircut.
meet up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jebro.
We're talking about Guild Wars 2. We got some awesome guests as per usual, Kroof and Rookery, our main hosts on this awesome show we have. Boots is being a dad. Keep doing awesome.
Those fatherly duties. You're doing great, Boots.
Fornax is away doing something. I don't know what, but they're away. Whatever
Fornax
they're doing,
duties. You're doing great, Fornax.
do that stuff over there.
You're always doing great for next.
Oh yeah. But Kroof, tell us what you do and what you do, just in case people don't know and they haven't been here for the 100+ shows we've done.
Yeah. Hi,
Which is
everyone.
possible.
I'm Kroof. I like to play video games usually here in my room. My bed is right over there. There's a few plushies on it, and there's like, I mean, it's not properly made, but there, I also will play on a desk sometimes. And it's a standing desk, so I can either sit or stand. I tend to prefer to sit because I'm lazy. But I also like to record videos for YouTube, and sometimes I stream here on Twitch. And I like to talk. I like bread.
Do you like
I
hopscotch?
really
or anything?
enjoy French fries. And I'm an Aries, so
Ooh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Is that bad or
for
good?
checking. It depends on who you ask. I like to think it's like a mixture of both. You know, bofa. It's very hit or miss.
And also on another note, Kroof has done a wonderful video about the very topic we're talking about today.
I wouldn't call it wonderful, but I did do a video.
No
The way
self-deprecation
you made
here.
yourself laugh and then muted yourself so that
No.
nobody could hear.
I did.
The podcast, the people listening couldn't see your face, I guess. So thank you, Rook, as well for telling for making sure that people are informed everywhere because they need to know. Yeah, go check them out. YouTube, all the things, Twitch. Do it. There is a little bit of their footage on screen of the video they've done recently. Go and check that out. And we'll chuck all of their stuff in the description of the video, where you can also buy the expansion and support one of our awesome creators that is here today. And then also the links are in for the other peeps are all in the previous videos when they've been on them as well. So make sure you chuck some support their way. Massively appreciated as well. Okay. What are you doing, Chris?
I'm getting really distracted by the autofocusing feature. I'm trying to very slyly refocus it, but it's not working.
Oh, we're truly here today. I love it. Rookery, how about you? Tell us what you do and where you like to do it.
Hi, yeah, I'm Beavis, and you can find me on my channel. No, you can find me Rookery at my channel, ROOKURI. I stream MMORPGs most often, though sometimes we do some other stuff or RPGs of all varieties over there. I finished up a playthrough of Final Fantasy IX. We've been doing more Dawn Trail stuff. Next week we'll have the Race to World First in Final Fantasy XIV, which will also be exciting, so I'll be overdoing that. But if I'm not on my channel live playing various games, you can find me over on YouTube as well at Rookery. You can also find me on Twitter at Rookery_, and you can find me here as well as on S03E30 Radio, a Final Fantasy XIV podcast, and quite often now you can find me just doing all kinds of shoutcasting, hosting, commentating around the space. I've been doing a lot of stuff recently for Blizzard with some of their events, like the Great Push, MDI, and a lot of their Cataclysm / WoW Classic stuff. So yeah, whatever I'm doing, wherever it is, I'm probably talking about video games, probably getting excited about video games. I like dumplings. I am a Gemini. So really, if we're talking about contentious signs, Gemini is the one that usually people are like, you're a terrible person. And I'm like,
Oh my
okay,
God.
it's okay. Okay. We're complicated. All right. You know what? We have duality. We have the propensity to speak at great length, which you're all experiencing right now. No, I love being a Gemini. But yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's me in a nutshell, I think.
I also love
That's
that
you in a nutshell?
Wow.
Are you sure?
I love being in a nutshell.
This is
as
me
well.
in a
Do you ever
nutshell.
feel like breaking out of the nutshell? Oh my god.
Sometimes, I mean, I guess to follow up on what you set up earlier, both of these nutshells, Kurt, I don't know. You dropped a bofa in your
Clever,
intro.
clever. That was masterful. Now that's wit. That's
Thank you
wit.
so much. Thank you.
It is weird.
I also love, Deborah, that you showed some like older Rook gameplay.
I did.
Oh God.
I
Oh,
did.
I
So
didn't even look.
good.
It was actually the first time Final Fantasy VII remake, and it was a clip, I think.
Did
And
you
I didn't
do
mean to
stuff
do that.
About
But-
Halo? Did you ever play Halo, Rook?
Yeah, I think so.
I did. I actually played
Yeah.
all of the Halo games. I think with the exception of 5, I'd never played them before. And one of my moderators who loves Halo took me through all of them. So yeah, you can find highlights of that on YouTube. The full
Nice.
runs are also in the VODs on Twitch. But people loved those. They loved them.
They were
Yeah.
good. I
love
was there
going
around
back.
for those, yeah.
Love going back and watching creators' old stuff. It's like my favorite hobby.
Yeah. You can watch the ancient Rook footage. Should anybody desire. But yeah.
Yes, you were wearing glasses, but your hair was actually the same color.
Oh, so not too old then.
It was 4 years ago.
Well, I'm
Oh,
ancient.
Damn.
And I've been doing this since time immemorial, but
Whoa. Duh, 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 duh. I've been
Wow,
on
the
Twitch.
skin's looking great. Wow.
thanks so
What
much.
is that? The
Yeah.
cement?
It is all the cement that I inject into it,
cement
and then I use a rolling pin to just really smooth it on out. Yeah.
Reader Geek Mod will be able to tell you, but I think that this year is my 10-year anniversary on Twitch.
Oh my god! Yay!
But
Jesus.
Are you gonna do anything fun for it?
Silence.
Probably raise money for charity, I guess. Maybe.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
We'll
That's
probably
good.
do that. We'll probably do that. We'll see. We'll see. But first of all, let's do the podcast because sorry, we're really good at like sidetracking. It doesn't help that the person who's leading this has ADHD and hasn't taken their meds today. Okay, so the return of raiding and convergences in Janthir Wilds, people. Exciting. 24th of July, this was put on the Guild Wars 2 website. We're going to read it because I have it. And also because I thought, let's give some first reactions. Well, I like giving my first reactions as well while we're kind of doing this sometimes. And also, I just don't get the time sometimes to do these things, which is great prep. Normally, sometimes I prep for this, but, you know, well, most of the time I used to. Anyway, does anyone want to read this? Also, quick point, Lightbringers, YouTube, Spotify, Google, iTunes, all the things you want to watch or listen to. Google Play, there you go. Just Google it, you'll be fine. You'll get there. Give us a review. Really appreciate it. Right, who wants to read this? First bit.
I'll start.
Ooh, okay.
Proof your damn. What about you do one word, and then you do the other word? Could you do that?
Oh, I think we could.
Oh my
could.
god, you two actually could.
I think Rook and I could. You
I
want to
think
try
we
it for
could.
this first introduction section?
Yeah, let's
Oh,
just do it for
God.
the first paragraph and then we'll spare
Do it.
everybody
Go on,
else.
go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Ready?
I dare you. Go on.
I'll start. Hello.
Tyrians
We
are
less
than
a
month
away
from
the
launch
of
Guild Wars 2.
Janthir Wilds.
I just thought
How
about
terrible
this.
is
May
it?
take a while.
Yeah. We'll just end the sentence. Well, that'll be
Sure.
fine.
Mhm.
That'll be
Okay.
fine.
And
Wow.
there's
Plenty.
to
Be
excited
about
for
the
August
20th.
release.
Players
Can
also
look
forward
to
the
next.
raid.
Wow.
Well, I've
Maybe.
ruined it for everyone.
It's
I'm
fine.
so sorry.
This is a long sentence.
So sorry. Going.
Raid
And
Convergence
going
5
in
hour
first
major
update
in
November.
period. Well, that had a rhythm to it. That was nice.
I
It was
felt I had
like
a
up
pretty
and
good
down.
cadence.
It was very good. Very good.
And
Excellent.
this is why AI should have a very hard cap on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get this kind of vocal talent and collaboration
I don't think so.
from stuff like AI.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Who wants to continue?
It's all you, Kroof. Go for it.
beautiful. You'll be able to explore a mysterious mountain region, and as you ascend the mountain, you'll face off against opponents who won't go down without a fight. You gotta punch them in the face and in the throat and in the butt. Players will also get to choose how to encounter these fights in either a 50-player convergence event or a 10-player raid wing, our first new raid in 5 years. Yay! Our team is currently hard at work developing this new raid, so while we can't share all the details yet, or any, we can provide an overview of what to expect and explain why we are reintroducing raids, along with some insight into what players can hope for in the future.
And this is the mountain. So if you can't see it, because you're listening, it looks very nice. It's a mountain.
It does. I would visit that mountain.
I would. It's a screenshot for anybody who doesn't know.
very
That is
green.
included as a little preview of the raid. So
It's very green, isn't it? For a mountain.
Yeah, you got a bit of green, got a bit of red, brown. We
Some
got a little like
trees.
storm going on up top.
Mm.
I mean, it's pretty accurate, although it's kind of compacted, right? Like mountains do
Nice.
have oftentimes like foliage and growth on them. It's just that at a certain point where the altitude hits, where you can kind of see the like rock debris and scree. It's SCREE. That's a real word. Like it clearly kind of they did their research on it because yeah, like towards the top you're gonna get more of just the dirt and rocks and some snow sometimes, but I think it's pretty. It's lush. It's beautiful. Curious about how it'll all be, what it'll look like.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
we're supposed to be journeying up a mountain. It reminds me of that song with William Shatner in it. That
Which could be
mountain.
interesting in
Anyway.
terms of environmentally it being very open, but we're like on a hike up a mountain and we fight bosses at different platforms. It'd be kind
Yeah.
of cute. I wonder if we're going to
That
be
would
able to
be
go
kind
in
of
the mountain.
cute. In a raid?
Yeah, it's like
Should
you're
it
going
be
on a
cute?
hike with friends. Oh no, we're going to get murdered. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's a real experience for people, I guess.
true.
It is a real experience. Okay. All right. So it's talking about already we have on our heads we have the 50-player convergence event or a 10-player raid wing. So going into this, my thoughts are raids question mark which is what is the topic of the title of this entire thing, because I've always thought, is this technically raids? Is it the same as what raids were before? But like I haven't read it, so we'll get through. We'll see where we go. Who would like to do the next bit, or do you want me to do it?
I got it.
Excellent.
Okay. The return of raiding. So probably your questions may be addressed here, Jebro. In the past, raids were self-contained instances with their own stories, built for 10-player groups. Our goal with the upcoming raid is to allow players to experience the story in a way that works best for them. The raid will be integrated into the main storyline, and players who might be hesitant to join a raid group will still be able to enjoy their own personal narrative. The 50-player version is built as a convergence, similar in structure to those found in Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure. Those participating in the 10-player raid will find the story to be more heroic, with a focus on the formidable enemies they face, rather than the NPCs involved in the narrative. While there will be some differences between the 50-player and the 10-player versions, the team has recognized the importance of maintaining a sense of continuity between both experiences. We look forward to watching players discover and master these mechanics in each setting. With the introduction of our new raid encounter, some of you might be wondering if we will continue to create raids in the future. The short answer is maybe. Raids require a significant amount of development resources, but only a small subset of players engage with the 10-player group instanced content, which is part of the reason it has been 5 years since our last one. This new raid serves as a test to see how we can support raids moving forward. Originally, we attempted to solve the cost problem with raids through strike missions, a new game mode designed to be a bridge between players and raids. This time, instead of trying to give players bridge content in the hope that it leads them to raids, we're just going to give them the raid content from the start in the form those interested in it really want. Players who want a 10-player instanced mechanics-heavy version can play that, and the players who prefer a large-scale open-world experience with fewer barriers to entry can also experience the content that way. Meanwhile, integrating raid content into the story lets us fit its development into our annual release schedule. We aim to extend story assets to support raids and gauge players' reactions to raids that have been integrated into the story. Sometime after the raid's release in November, its challenge mode will become available. Additionally, players participating in the 10-player raid can anticipate a legendary mode, offering a highly coveted purple title.
It's all about those titles, baby.
Okay, lots there. Where do we even begin? Okay. So, it is a convergence, but it's also a raid, but it's also a single player instance in the story, right? I got that right.
I don't know if it's a single-player instance. I think it's just that you have to... This is the impression I got. I don't know.
Yeah.
The impression I got is that you have to complete probably the 50-player version to like your normal raids in Final Fantasy XIV would be my kind of analogy. That like you need to complete the 50-player instance because that's like the default story version, and then like if you want to do the raid version, you can.
The wording is a little confusing because the sentence, the raid will be integrated into the main storyline, does give you like that. Is it going to be an instance?
Yeah.
However, they never mentioned that there would be technically story updates for the first patch. They only mentioned that there would be the raid. So I think what they mean is just the narrative of the raid itself is going to be connected to the personal story of the expansion, which could be another way of interpreting it.
Is this coming November or in August?
November.
Okay, so it's not part of the main expansion story, it's the next part. Okay, got it. So, okay.
And if this is a storyline, yeah, that is interesting because I imagine the expansion story will be wrapped up within the expansion itself. And because this raid is coming as the very first update, it will have to be connected to the plot lines that were established in the expansion. And so this is going to be a very different way of experiencing the quote unquote personal story in like a 50-player version or a 10-player version.
Now that is interesting then, because they could have done this so that this would have been the last patch rather than the first one, because it's the raid. Because if you think about it, if it's going to be released as a whole entire thing, like you said, it's the beginning of a new story with the same, within the expansion, right? Because they're separate, but they're not like completely detracted from the theme, because it's still the expansion for the year, right? There's still that story. So they're pumping in the raid right at the beginning. Like, whereas I would have thought, like, wouldn't a big raid or like Convergence be better? Would it be better at the end, or does it matter? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of like, oh, here's the raid and the last bit of the story, boom, big bosses.
I mean, it might still be a part of the personal story, which I think if it is, that I think the concerns that people have had in floating some concerns is a little bit more valid. But in terms of the positioning of when you're giving content, I think because we're not getting any other form of endgame content, it's probably wise to bring it first and not have people wait to
get them to buy the expansion. Here's the raid. Next. That makes sense.
And I mean, there's also the staggered release to keep in mind too about the challenge mode, right? So like this will kind of be introduced earlier, then we'll have the release of the challenge mode. And with stuff like housing that's going to be coming, that's also something that gives you like more of a kind of longer time sink decoration sort of thing too. So I'm not really too fussed about it being where it is. It kind of depends on how they use it again, right? Because like I am imagining right now, just based off of what we saw with some of the limitation and scope for Secrets of the Obscure, that the patch that has this raid, maybe I'll be totally wrong, in which case, like, please prove me wrong. ArenaNet, please prove me wrong. But, like, I have this feeling that they're going to use the Convergence and the raid as sort of, like, the major story for that patch. And so, like, you might get a little something at the start and a little something at the end of it. But my guess is that, like, your story content will be the action immersion content largely that is this instance. So, like, if it was at the very end, I'd worry that we would have something a little bit like the finale of Secrets of the Obscure again, where it felt like, oh, I would really like to have some more supporting stuff around this. So I don't mind where it is. Like, if they were to pair, for like a final release, if they were to do something like have a huge hunk of story and other stuff, and then also give you this epic raid and battle, I think it would be fine. But I imagine because of the constraints that it puts on the team, it's probably going to limit the scope of other things coming out with it.
Yeah.
They did, and then, pardon me, I don't know if what was the title of the next? Okay. The next bit might answer some of the questions I have. I guess I was just thinking about how they released like an extra boss and stuff with the Convergence, like later on as well down the line. So maybe adding like would it be good to even stagger some of the bosses, like maybe even add bosses as the story continues, like and extend it? I mean, I guess that's a possibility, right?
I don't think that'll happen with this because it seems like this is kind of being built as its own time capsule of a story where it's going to be much more like how raids used to be, where you had their own personal stories. However, it's just going to be connected to the main plot line, and that you're going to have this option to experience it in a 50-player version or a 10-player version.
Okay.
I guess. Unless, like, maybe they introduce some other bosses into the just Convergence version. And then like they mentioned that the convergences are supposed to have more of a focus on the NPCs. So like and kind of their narrative as opposed to like the bosses and the epic, the epic way that they're built up. So like I guess you could bring in some other bosses and like maybe just have like the NPCs react to them. But I'm kind of getting the feeling that you are, Crew, for I think it's going to be a little bit more of a like solidified story thing. That probably means that they're not going to be like adding in random stuff. We do see in the picture at the end of this category too that some of it does seem to be like winding its way up the mountain, and like maybe there are these kinds of like arenas and things that you might come across, or like so yeah, I'm it'll be interesting to see how they kind of integrate it into this like the map, but like an instance version of the map sort of thing, and then where it takes us in the mountain.
Looks cool, actually. This area. You can't see it where we're talking about. It looks like a meteor's hit it and kind of come out or something. I don't know. Like it's interesting. Or something has exploded and then moved out. I don't know. It's
cool.
Oh.
It's maybe one of the most actiony shots that we've gotten for Janthir Wilds in terms of presenting a question of like, what is going on there? Because everything else we've seen has just been very beautifully scenic. This is like, oh, what is that crater? Why does it seem to be exploding outward, but in like stasis? So it's one of my more interesting picks for a screenshot.
I think that's also what kind of leads me to feel as though it might be more of a set story, because it's not like in some liminal space demon world pocket, So it does feel like stuff like this sets a very specific arena or a very specific area, kind of like we have in the raids, currently.
Yeah.
Right, because you can see a couple of trees in there, and you can kind of see the scale of things, I guess, a little bit, and it does feel quite, okay.
Which will be nice to return to, because we'll have a form of PvE content that is quote unquote end game focused, but still connected to the story. We used to have that with the dungeons in the base game, but those were discontinued at the very start of the game, and we've only had to rely on at least strike missions. However, with strike missions, they're just reused moments within the storyline that you're already playing. Yeah. So this will be nice to have a little bit of a toss up in how players and how ArenaNet allows players to experience the story while also connecting to the PvE endgame content.
Nice.
Which is what other games do, like WoW and Final Fantasy XIV, where at the end of a chapter you go do the dungeon for it and whatnot. But when it comes to the return of raiding, I do respect that they were just very blunt, and they said that they don't know if they're going to continue to do these. But I respect that more than just having no messaging at all around ratings, because this is them providing an effort. They're like, we're going to test it out to see if it works well in everyone's favor for convergences, and then also if it leads to people doing the raids, maybe we will see raids come back in the next expansion or the expansion after that, whatever their plans are. But it does make me feel a little special that they're like, oh, this might be the last raid we ever get, kind of, if it doesn't do well, but I hope it does. I hope it's not the last one.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you. I am very glad to hear them just talk about it directly. But I really hope that like post Janthir Wilds, if they do another kind of what we learned sort of wrap up discussion thing, I hope that they say, I don't know if it'll be too soon or, for them to have the data that they would need, but I hope that they say something at least in the future about whether or not they're going to continue it. Because I think that was sort of the big problem with raids previously, that we were in such a limbo for so long, for 5 years, like they said, right? Where folks were theorizing a lot of stuff, and sure, much of it had to do with, it's probably because the smaller portion plays it and this or that, right? But I hope that if that's something they decide to do, or if they're like, this didn't get the returns that they want, that at the very least in the next couple years or in the next year following this expansion or something, they just say, hey, we tested it. We're glad that people liked it if you did, but we've decided moving forward that we're going to do these specific things, or strikes, or, Because I just don't want to see it lost in limbo again. And I'm so excited that this new one is coming out, and I really love that they're trying to find a way that they can make it work so that other players can still access it, and that, you know, folks that want that rating content can still get in there for that. So I'm hoping it's successful, and that this means that even if it's like every other year or something, that we at least get to see raids play a role in Guild Wars 2's ongoing content.
Yeah. And I also wonder if if we're in a world where convergences are successful, but the raids are not, if they're going to continue to do this convergence style content where you have large groups of 50 players doing these more public events, quote unquote raids, because they sometimes do feel like just 50 player raids that you're venturing off into, which is another thing, because they said that raids are contingent on if people enjoy them, but they don't necessarily present that same question for convergences, because they kind of know people will interact with those convergences.
You need to do it for legendary armor as well, so it's like that's the thing, right? Like it's a need. Like if they tied these raids again and to be able to get some kind of item towards legendary armor, or if it's good rewards, then they will get people playing it.
And
right?
that
that's what
is
we've been talking
one
about.
topic I wish they talked about in this section, because I'm like, it's all very wishy-washy in terms of like they don't know if it's going to work, but it doesn't leave a lot of confidence in the player's perspective. And I think it would have been nice to see how they are going to restructure the rewards for rating.
Yeah.
Are they going to give us magnetite shards, which you use for the Heart of Thorns rating gear? Are we going to get essences for the spear and the backpack? What are you going to do to entice players to try raiding?
Skins,
and I think, like, honestly,
items.
a mount skin.
A mount skin. Yeah.
Honestly,
absolutely.
1 or 2 mount skins, people would do the normal
Exactly.
dungeon, the challenge mode, and the legendary. If there was a skin for each, yes, people would do it.
Yes.
So-
I was kind of wishing they would talk about that too, or even like having a refresher update for the raid reward vendor, right? Like something where they would kind of mention that, or they're going to add in new skins or cosmetics or stuff like, or, you know, different sets that you can get for magnetite shards that even if they're just appearance wise different, you know, could still be cool, or add in some rewards for things like relics and stuff that have come out recently and things like that. To like continue to expand out some of it. They did mention a little bit later, and we'll get there, that like essences, at least for the convergence, I think, will be something that's applicable across like Secrets of the Obscure into Janthir Wilds. So you will be able to get essence still that can be used for things like the legendary PvE armor, and that can be used for the backpack, they said specifically. But yeah, I would have liked to see a little something about you know, some new raid rewards or like vendor offerings or something like that, to also kind of encourage folks who might jump in to try raids for the first time with a new one coming out, and like see if they could kind of roll them into that, or, you know, be like, hey, you loved that legendary PvE armor, but it's kind of hard to get. Guess what you can get? You can get Ascended easy in the raids, you know?
Yeah, that's why raids were so that important to like players, like way back when they started. Like raids were all about loot. It was all about loot. Like you would, like, I don't know if what was it called when you never used to have rolls, like automatic roll systems. So you'd have to have is it dungeon or dragon kill points? I can't remember what it's called. DDP. No.
Oh, DKP?
DKP. Thank you. And you'd have like, so we'd go into raids, and like someone would always be calculating like, how many times has someone been to this raid? They get points, and then you can spend those points and bid for items and stuff. Like it was all about that kind of community of rewards and things like that. Obviously it's about the experience, going in with a team of people, etc. But like, you know, the reward is like killing the boss, getting a cool thing, or getting some progress towards a cool thing, right? So like, at least the Heart of Thorns raid, you had like legendary armor and stuff, but people didn't really have enough time for that. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into that, and there's no just like reward, here you go kind of thing, rather than just like there's a couple of ascended weapons, the skins are a bit bleh, and you you don't really get much, do you? Like, I mean, you get like the ghost. What is it? The blue.
There's the ghostly infusion. There's the, like, there are some interesting, unique skins and items and cosmetics from like different bosses or different wings, minis and stuff that you get. But I mean, that brings up a really good point. You are right, Jeb. In a game in which there is no gear treadmill, what is the purpose of end game content? Because in many other games, it is about getting best in slot, right? So it's about divvying up that gear, divvying up that loot. Sure, there are probably prestige items that are affiliated with it, like, 14 offers mounts, and usually there's some kind of mount or other thing in World of Warcraft raids too that are in addition to the gear that you get. But there is that big question with Guild Wars 2, like, do we just keep designing raids even if there's not functionally like a need for them? And that's the big question, right? Like, titles are a thing. Yes, unique cosmetics, unique skins. Those are things that motivate players in Guild Wars 2. But like, what else could they do to continue to make it worth it? I mean, gold, just grinding for gold is a big thing as well. And being able to buy decorations now would be a really big one as well, right? Like
stuff,
yeah, if they said that they were like updating all of the raids with like a slew of other additional special cosmetics and stuff, people would definitely do them, right? Like,
actually, yeah, because all the other dungeons do offer 1 or 2 decorations when you have a chance of it dropping when you kill a boss. So I imagine the same would be said for these as well. But I think there is that element of prestige needed for endgame content, no matter what type of endgame content you're doing, honestly. But it seems to be so focused around infusions, but there's so little wardrobe compatibility with infusions in terms of swapping them out seamlessly. So I think they should probably change it up a little bit and explore other options like mounts, skiff skins, fishing rods, decorations. Weapons and armor is kind of always like a guarantee, but
true.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, so rewards missing. That would have been nice. Yes, and we're getting quite. Maybe they'll tell us a little bit more about that after the. Although it would be good to kind of give that information with the expansion. If they're launching it so close to the expansion with the idea that it's gonna sell it a bit more because it's coming so soon, you'd think. Wouldn't rewards be good for that? Like, I mean, I know maybe they're too closely tied to the story or something, maybe, or like to homesteads, and maybe that will come. Maybe they'll have like a rewards blog post, please. do a rewards blog post. That would be good. Okay. Was there anything else here? Yeah, I like the idea of the maybe. I think Rookie said it. Giving us a little bit of a idea of where their heads are at, because like we've said in the past, like it's difficult. Well, or maybe I've said, I don't know, but like when you're running a business, you don't want to put too many people on something which is not going to be engaged with, because it is a waste of money. It's just, unfortunately, with whatever way you shake it. I mean, maybe not, like if you think about, I might be able to do raids and that in the future, maybe as a thing, but I don't have the numbers. I mean, it'd be nice maybe if we knew one day what they were. Otherwise, nothing else here is really popping out into my head. I think... Go on, Koof.
I do wonder why they moved away from strike missions this expansion. If they had numbers and data showing that strike missions were successful, I wonder why they would shift to raids, which is a bit more of a gamble to have that much around it.
Are they flip-flopping, Koof? Are they flip-flopping?
Maybe they're just being quirky. They're like, we're just gonna try it out for an expansion. We're just gonna see, which I also respect. Sometimes it's just like, go for it.
I mean, it could have something to do with just the community oftentimes asking for raids, right? That maybe as they were sitting down and going like, what are things that we've had the community asking? What are things that we want to surprise the community with? And so they were like, there has been supposedly like vocal support for something like raids, and maybe we found that while we did strike missions in the hopes that it would lead people to raids, it didn't close that gap. Like maybe strike missions themselves still have good player numbers, which honestly I'm curious about too. Like, are the strikes more widely and populously run? I would think so, but I don't know so. You know what I mean? Like,
We don't.
and so like, was it something too where the numbers weren't so definitive that they, were like, we're only going to do strikes? Was it something where they felt like the initial intention of strikes to like close the gap to raids didn't necessarily have that kind of cause and effect? And so they were like, you know what? These are actually two separate things. So if we want to see how new raids can do on their own, then like we have to try to introduce new raids. I wonder. I imagine too that the pressure of an MMO market in which raiding is something that is a foundational thing in a lot of games, whether or not a smaller fraction of the player base does it, which is almost always the case in every MMO, right? It's something about this being a part of MMORPGs. I wonder if they went, not that we have to do this, but like maybe we should continue to try to do something like this since we have been building up some of our other teams and mechanics, and we've had a good response to things like the harder strike missions and some of the more difficult content. It's drawn some eyes, so maybe we should try to see if raids are something that we could rework and have in the game. All I know is that like if they decide not to do raids moving forward, I don't know.
Story dungeons.
Well, yeah,
That look on your face, Rook, was just fucking priceless. Sorry, why did I swear? But like, it was just so good. Like, it was so encompassing. Like, it was like. It was like that. I was like, but
It's
you do it way
hard.
better. Your face obviously looks much better than mine. But like, it was just so. Yeah, I was there. I was in the moment. If you're not watching it on YouTube or whatever, like I'm
was
just
great.
like, it's just like, what are you?
like,
what are we doing here?
going on?
What
is
is
going
the
on?
world? Like,
Well, it's because Secrets of the Obscure, we have to keep reminding ourselves, was the first experiment in a year-long expansion. But unfortunately, it's all that we have as a precedent for a year-long expansion right now. And I think with Janthir Wilds, this will show a lot, right, about what they have taken away or how they've implemented it. And I just think that if we don't get raids, they really have to figure out how or what they're doing about instanced content in Guild Wars 2, because like I love this game. I love the open world content. Metas are some of my favorite content, but like even I cannot just eat bread alone. Like I can't just.
I want the taste of meat. I want
need
the succulent juices of meat.
Yes, I need a feast of different flavors. Like, and housing is definitely a big thing I'm really excited about, and it looks phenomenal. But like, we need some other content, and I can't really say that the fractals that we've been getting really cut it. At least the recent two, and I can't really say. You know what I mean? So it's just like.
I think their boss design has declined over the years. I think something has happened where they are not hitting a certain bar of boss encounters where they used to, especially in the days of Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, which is why I'm I'm on the fence with how this is going to be successful if they do not change their approach to creating endgame.
Do people not
boss
Do
encounters.
people not like the latest boss in the strike and the whole race and stuff? They didn't like it. I don't know. I haven't played it, so I don't
People
know.
did not like it.
Right.
I liked it first because it was the novelty of it. However, there is a bit of repetitiveness because their bosses do not change very much. There aren't many phases where you are being challenged to change up your approach or add another mechanic on top of something. And I also think just their approach to health pool sizing and stationary effects.
The challenge is more
it's
staying
been-
awake than anything else. Yeah.
It's been more so a
Sounded awful the
marathon.
way I said that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's kind of true.
It is not the best form of bosses I have played, and I've played plenty of dungeons and raids from my young years playing MMOs. So
And your current
I
years
hope-
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
you're
less
still
though,
young,
because
I
we haven't
guess.
had much of it to do in Guild Wars 2. That's why I've been doing like other
Oh,
games.
I thought you
but-
meant like World of Warcraft and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no, yeah, I mean that's always like a staple. So
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed a lot of the boss designs in Secrets of the in End of Dragons. End of Dragons.
they were good.
They were good. And Secrets of the Obscure had its moments with some of the instances and things like that, but I have noticed a sharp decline in folks' interest with even our raid groups and stuff like that, right? So I think that this raid will be really important to see if people are engaged by it and interested and they enjoy the bosses, if the rewards are good. I genuinely am thrilled that they're bringing these back, and I hope they are successful in this new iteration, right? But I mean, if they feel like this doesn't end up working, I think that they really do need to keep honing in on all these little details, right? Like, how are we structuring our fights? What are we giving, for instance, content? How are we keeping it interesting? This was something that even 14 had to recently do a really hard look at, because a lot of their boss design fights, even through Endwalker, while there were some standouts, there were and some content where they got a little more experimental that was really cool, but like the vast majority of a lot of their content, it was like, what happened? Like, it was just so watered down, and like folks were the same kind of thing where they were just like, honestly, I feel like I only have to push a single button and I can get through the vast majority of stuff. Not to say that some of the end game content didn't offer challenge in ways to people, because it did, but like they even admitted publicly with 14, we think that we kind of cut back the content too much to appeal to what we believed was more of an ease of access, but that actually just ended up kind of making things a lot less engaging for folks. And so now we're trying to redefine what it means to have challenge, but not necessarily like just raw difficulty, like a huge health pool that's like slamming yourself against a wall or something like that, right? Where it's like, how do we provide interesting encounters and unique challenges and stuff like that, which I think they've been much more successful in Dawn Trail. But it goes to show that many games come to this kind of crossroad, right? Where they're sort of trying to figure out, what do we define as challenge in our game, and what do players find engaging in that challenge? Yeah.
And do our players want it? Compared to other stuff.
In terms of the discussion about how players experience and play a game in raiding and dungeons, the recent Ceres Legendary and Challenge mode is a good example of, they actually hit a pretty good balance of difficulty and mechanical interest. However, it was so focused, from what I viewed it, because I haven't tried it yet, it's so focused on positioning that you end up having this meta where everyone just stacks one class because of Portal and because of movement mechanics. And so it is a very difficult circumstance to run into, where you always have to keep in mind the balance of classes and how one class has this amazing mechanic of a portal, which basically nullifies that mechanical complexity to a certain degree, because you just instantly teleport somewhere. And is it then, like, I've heard people say, give a portal onto every class, but then is it just everyone's taking a portal? Is that exciting? To me, I don't know if I'd be so interested in that, where you just answer every question by just porting to different areas. But the Ceres CM was more of a positive than the other bosses for Soto, including the fractals. So despite some of the other weaker points, I think Ceres was pretty good. There's a lot of honking going on outside right now. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, I can't hear. You're good.
Perfect.
Good
So, yeah,
points.
not all of it's been terrible, but it's been, I mean, not that it
Yeah, no, I mean, it's good
it
to
is
think about this,
interesting.
though. Yeah.
And I love stuff like the portals in Guild Wars too. And I think there is a way, right, that like you can use it really creatively. Like if you had a dedicated mechanic that portals played a role in, whether it was that kind of like they've done in previous things, like the is it Mersat Overseer encounter, where you can like pick up unique buffs, right? So like you could have something where, like, if you didn't have a mesmer with you, somebody picks up a unique buff that has a portal, and like maybe you can't use the portals on the ground floor, but there's something else that people with portals have to do creatively up top or something, right? Or, you know, I suppose you could always do something too where there's some kind of debuff that goes out for a specific movement phase where you can't use portals. And like, you know, maybe mesmers bring other things to the table, but you pick something else in your kit. Or yeah, sure, maybe some other phases of the fight where you're like, okay, it's fine if they want to use stuff here, and clever of them if they decide to start structuring it around that. It is tough, right? This has always been a problem in Guild Wars too, because the freedom of class expression and some of the unique things that they do with classes does mean that we will never, not at any point in this game, have perfect balance of every ability, every elite spec. We will not. Like, and that's fine. That's the price that we pay. But I think that's also part of what. Yeah, I think that's the difficulty for a lot of the end game content as well that they've encountered. But I think you have to. But then again, right? If we get a bigger range of content, and Sirius is just a boss where you have a portal strat, that's fine. Like, because then that's the boss that you probably use portal strat on, right? Like, so like if we have other fights, as long as it's not completely nullifying all of the challenge of a fight and other stuff, as long as it's accounted for, I think it's still something that can play a role in, you know, letting certain classes shine in certain fights because of the demands that are placed upon players.
Yeah, it reminds me of that first boss, and the mesmers just ran. Oh my god, distortion, and you would just use that.
Oh, Veil Guardian.
On Veil Guardian, yeah, it was the
back
best.
when distortion could be shared.
Yeah.
Back when they had like unique class buffs that could be shared out to other people. Let's bring those back. Let's bring that back.
It was pretty. I'm pretty sure they changed that. Because of that.
They did.
Reason, right?
They said instead of sharing out distortion, we'll just let you share out Aegis. Like that'll be it's just one block instead of 4 seconds of invulnerability.
Which was I think that was probably a good idea in that case. Okay. Let's continue because it'll probably continue our discussion anyway. I guess I'll read it. It's fine.
Do you want to read? Oh.
Do I want to read?
Do you want to? You don't have to.
If you want to, go for it. I don't want to clip your wings.
Someone else read. Why
okay.
Not? Yeah. Yeah. Does someone else want to read? All right, I can read it. I'll do it. It's technically my turn. That's okay. It's all right.
It's a matter of want, Jebro.
Yeah, I kind of want to, but reading is hard.
Perfect. Doing hard things in life is very important.
It's all good. Convergences
I have to do math.
Oh, no math as well, please. Not at the same time. Jesus Christ. I'll fall over. 2 things at the same time. Anyway, Convergences in Janthir Wilds. The Coden cubs huddle closely around the village's claw. Their eyes wide with awe and excitement as he begins to recount a harrowing tale. It's a story of bravery and strategy. I'm trying to do what you two do, you see. In which a band of 50 fearless Tyrians embarked on a daring mission as they ascended the mountain. That mountain. As the tale unfolds, you take up the challenge in this encounter. You will find a strong ally in your Warclaw mount. Shit, I forgot. That was a thing that the other week I wanted to talk about. Which will aid you. Whoa, will aid you? Oh, cool. So it's actually going to be kind of part of Convergences. Oh, that's nice. I'm just going to bring up things as we go through it because it's cool. But that is cool. Okay. Anyway, listen closely as the village's claw weaves the narrative. Each encounter promises unexpected challenges and thrilling surprises. During your encounters with these enemies, you might observe a noticeable shift in difficulty compared to what you experienced in Guild Wars 2, Secrets of the Obscure. So funny. We've fine-tuned these bosses to present a more advanced challenge than in previous Convergences, necessitating coordinated efforts from all party members to secure victory. Completing Convergences in Guild Wars 2, Janthir World, will award players with essences that can be used to craft legendary Oh, yeah. Oh, you said this.
No,
Said this
spoiler.
already.
Sorry.
Just ruined the entire article. I'm joking. And yes, these essences will be compatible with the legendary Obsidian armor available in Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscure, as well as the new legendary spear. Oh, that's cool. And the backpack as well, arriving in quarterly updates for Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds. Essences from Convergences will be renamed to Rift Essences with free rarities to streamline the rewards. Interesting. We hope you enjoyed hearing about some of the post-launch content coming to Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds. We'll see you in Tyria. Look, there's a baby. There's a baby
Just
going to...
little baby.
That's cool.
Little baby.
I like that. Have we seen like Code and Children before?
It's a
I
widow
don't think
cop. He's like a
so.
widow guy.
Can't eat them. They're not supposed to be edible. Pretty sure. I mean, they can be, I guess.
You know, sometimes in survival,
Yeah. Maybe that's what we're going to do in the Convergences.
just fighting a swarm of coding cubs.
Yeah. You must eat them so that you can gain the strength to defeat the Titans. Or whatever, I don't know. I like this. The whole the claw, like the war claw thing, because it reminds me of when Rook, you were invited to the Secrets of the Obscure thing test, or the video you did with the turtles, and you were going through some of the events, and you needed the turtles to get through.
You mean an End of Dragons?
End of Dragons, sorry.
Yeah.
I was
also trying to remember.
Sorry.
Was I invited to something for Soto? Because I'm pretty sure I remember a distinct lack of creator preview.
Yeah. Sorry, it was the End of Dragons. Wow.
Sorry, that was saucier than I meant.
We've had so many expansions. My brain is not able to because my brain can't cope. Yeah, that, because it was cool. Like it felt like using the amounts necessary to complete something, but it's not the be all and end all of everything, which is cool. So that's kind of exciting. And they're changing some bits and bobs towards around the Warclaw as well anyway, which there was a post about, which we might bring in. Yes.
Yeah.
I know what that face looks like as well.
Especially in the context of PvE, when Path of Fire was launching, people were wondering how they were going to integrate mounts into the raiding experience, and seeing that they are taking into account the Warclaw is really nice, because the Warclaw is said to have like this new double jump feature, which is more snappy, it's more precise for jumps. So and because we are ascending, I imagine there's going to be like cliff sides that we have to like bounce between and whatnot. So I think it'll be a fun movement effect.
Yeah,
And there's some spikes spears you can throw on the Warclaw.
Okay, so that's cool. There wasn't really much. I mean, it was cool about the rewards spreading, being able to, being similar to, well, the essences, right? So you can get different tiers based on, I guess, is this by which raid you're doing or whatever? I mean, I guess there's already the tiers anyway, right? Yeah, with the essences, but they're just going to be renamed to Rift Essences.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was further confirmation by Ruby that even rifts that you're fighting in Soto are also going to give the same. The currency is just being changed to a more general currency for convergences and rifts.
We really don't need new currencies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would have been a little rough, in my opinion. A little rough. There
or
was
it
one
would put
thing-
a rift between the developers and the community.
And the server need to remember that currency. They did mention that these convergences are going to be tougher than the ones in Soto, which is kind of funny, because they're like, yeah, we're having two modes where one's like more leisure and casual, but we are buffing the hell out of it. It's like, oh, so I think I'm really interested to see how they're going to present that challenge, because a band of 50 players needs a completely different mechanical roster than a band of 10 players. And one thing I can say about convergences in Soto was that you really could just become one with the mob, and there was no reason for you to split into various groups. So I think one element you can maybe prioritize with these convergences is splitting up groups of 50 players and needing people to spread out a bit more and
Yeah.
tackle a couple other objectives, so that you're not all just like throughout the entire fight stacked in one group trying to dodge the Kenexai axes that are spiraling towards you, one-shotting you down. So I wonder what they mean by increasing difficulty. So
It is interesting how they reminded you that, unless they like literally force you into different areas of maps and stuff.
you could have like a split phase where the boss goes invulnerable, and then you need like a certain number of players to split. Because playing Final Fantasy 14, when you're in a raid, you have alliance A, B, and C, and sometimes you'll have to split those parties.
They do put them
do
into
stuff.
pies, right? Automatically, though.
They do. I think it was their party UI system is very, very flexible, which is good. But then you think about the need for certain like controlled mechanics, and you're like, who's gonna step up to the plate and organize this?
Yeah, exactly. So almost because they baby the grouping in a way, it's like it's enabling folks to not step up and organize something. Maybe I don't know. Should it be more like? This is the
It would
thing.
be
Like,
nice
who's gonna
if
do
they
that?
had a concrete example here, because it's so general.
Right. Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
a lot of what we've received in terms of like gameplay for this expansion has been very general. We haven't seen a gameplay trailer. We haven't seen any like action sequences in the expansion. So this expansion is a huge mystery to me in terms of how I'm going to be approaching its gameplay features, other than the spear, because we got the beta test for that. But I think it would have been nice if they were like, for example, we're prioritizing positioning, or, you know, because it is a little like, what does that mean? It's going to be more challenging.
We're just gonna lower everyone's health by 1,000. That's more challenging, I guess. Just more.
That'd
All
be
the time.
fun. Everyone just gets one shot.
Yeah. If you get CC'd, you die. That's it. You
Yeah,
lose your
sounds
entire
great.
account.
Love that. I think
Yeah,
they should
permadeath.
delete people's. Yeah, I think they should delete people's accounts so that if you die in the raid, you just die. Like your character dies in game canonically, and then you have to restart. I agree. I think that's great. No, I
You
mean
lose hair or something.
the extra little tidbit about the challenge and stuff like that, I think is it's good. It's good to see. It's interesting to see. Because as we talked about, kind of figuring out how they even out that challenge threshold for folks is important. And I am glad as well that they are kind of. I think overall, I'm glad that they are making essences something that you can earn in a greater variety of stuff as well, right? And that it kind of makes me think that like convergences, I mean, we were talking earlier about, are they going to keep doing convergences? So it makes me kind of think that they do have a longer term vision for that. If they want to make like open world PvE, this legendary armor be something that isn't just specific to Secrets of the Obscure, but kind of like how the raids have like a bunch of different challenges, and there's like a, you know, for the raid legendary armor, I should say, there's, you know, stuff that kind of even branches out into beyond just like one raid and one fixed play, you know, like I kind of get the sense that they want to make Convergence as something that's going to operate on a larger scale to provide you a lasting avenue into that. I don't know how everybody feels about that, like detracting from Soto content, or like, I think if anything, it just kind of encourages you to run all of that stuff, like, so that you get more of the essence faster. But yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what to add to that. I don't have anything to add to that. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say yeah as well.
Because raids are a questionable thing, but they never mention that for convergences.
No.
So it's like, are they going to be continuing? But we'll find out in expansion 6.
Which is bloody soon.
Next year.
Oh, sorry.
Next
Is it 5?
year.
Wait. What were we in
This
now?
is 5. This is 5. So
This
we'll
is
be in
5?
expansion 6 next
Oh
year.
my god, feels like we've been through so much. Okay, I was a little bit reading what the War Claws did because I was like, I haven't read that, and I was like, oh yeah, we didn't talk about that, but that's cool. I mean, we don't need to go into that too much because we're just gonna have a short episode today, and I know if I go into that, that's gonna be like an hour. Okay, raids. Good, cool. I don't know why I'm less excited about this now. I'm not sure why.
Less
I feel
excited
like they-
about raids?
I don't feel like they wrote this article with a lot of excitement infused into it. Does that make sense? Like they weren't
Maybe.
like, I don't think they really sold it. They were like, well, maybe do it. This was our goal. This was our intention. We'll see how it happens. So it was a little like,
Maybe.
Yeah, no, I honestly I feel that.
That's why.
I don't dislike it. Like,
No, I don't either. It just
I mean,
doesn't give the like oomph of like expansion and thing, and there's no raid trailer, and there's no like blah blah blah, and there's no rewards. There's no like. It's the oomph. It's the damn. I can't wait to get into raids and convergences. Raids haven't been around for 5 years, and they could have really sold that like in a trailer, like. Guild Wars 2's first raid in 5 years. Return to Guild Wars 2 and play versus the Apple Men or something. I don't know. I don't know if Apple Men came from, but like, you know, or Apple Pen. Apple Pen.
Apple Pen.
Apple Pen.
What
Man.
a throwback.
I completely agree, honestly. It feels like they realize that they are in an experimental period, both with Secrets of the Obscure and this. Like, Secrets of the Obscure, there seems to be a shift with the studio possibly and some of the advertising and other stuff where we didn't get a lot of the big hype that we got for End of Dragons, right? Where we even had some of those bigger videos or, you know, talking with the composers or the previews for creators, which, you know, I didn't mean to sound so sassy earlier about like, well, they didn't do anything for Secrets of the Obscure.
They didn't. You're right, though.
But
They didn't.
I mean, they didn't. And they did a little bit afterwards. I loved the video that they released with some of the reactions that, you know, like some of the reactions for players. I think, Jeb, you and I were both in that, and because we had recorded our playthroughs, right? Like, Cliff, were you? Was there a clip in there? I'm trying to remember.
Well, they asked us for.
Oh no, I didn't submit.
No, you said you didn't submit one. That's what it was.
They asked us for
forgot
stuff.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But I think part of it too is that people weren't expecting them to do another little video thing like that, and so some of the creators I know didn't like know to look out for it, or just, you know, were busy with other stuff, right? But I actually thought that was a really cute idea, and it got me excited retroactively for Secrets of the Obscure, even with a lot of the pros and cons and things that we had discussed about it.
Yeah.
And so it feels like they're still kind of in this place where they know that they are experimenting. And as a result, they just don't want to commit to selling the hype on something. Like with the raids, it feels like they have much more confidence in the housing system, which after that video that they did about the housing system, I know even in my communities and Discords and stuff, the one that came out on YouTube, people were like, oh my gosh, and you can do this and this and this. And I didn't ever expect that they would let you have statues and that you could size them and that you could, like, you could have a statue of yourself and that this and stuff, you know? So like the hype was really palpable then. But with the raids, it feels much more like, because they're kind of like, well, we don't know if we'll do more of these, and we don't really, like, there feels like you can actually feel the caveats for it versus having something like a video where, you know, it is like, for the first time in 5 years, raids are back in Guild Wars 2, and these are the things that we're doing, and blah, 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 you know, like to make it even more rewarding, even more exciting than ever. And we have a new 50-player version of it so that even if you aren't into Endgame, you can still enjoy, right? Like,
you can see it. You can actually see the trailer. Like, you can see the trailer. And I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
If you got Avantasia, I'm sorry. But like, it is like, it is just like so much, like it is very marketable. So it's,
and because raids are not coming with the expansion, I wonder why they decided to post this now and not after the expansion launches, because we still have a good amount of time to
well, that
wait.
goes to what you were saying earlier, like announcing, because it's releasing earlier is going to be like a feature of it, so they're trying to use it as a selling point, right? So they kind of have to, maybe, but
this isn't selling it.
that's
really.
true. Well,
Like if you would just, I think if they had waited a little bit, they could have assembled a trailer along with this blog post and really kind of like amp it up to get people's attention to it. Because now I feel like most people are just going to be like, well, it's reused story content with convergences. With the track record of the last bosses, it's more so like this bigger question. So I don't know if this was the wisest blog post to make at this time. If it was after the release, I think it would have been totally logical, but I'm just wondering why they decided to give us this insight, which I appreciate, but is it necessarily the most effective thing for marketing? I don't know.
Exactly, especially because like we did just hit 1 month until the expansion.
Yeah.
And I feel like if anything, they could have just been like this is a really simple example. This is a really simple example. And I know we've been drawing a lot of parallels with 14 today, and I do want to just clarify that like Guild Wars 2 doesn't have to do things like 14. It's just that like we all play a handful of different MMOs, and we've just recently had this expansion launch.
You're drawing on experiences which you've seen have been successful with other games.
Yeah,
it's fun.
And you know, even with that, like when they hit, I think it was a month, or I'm trying to remember what the exact countdown was. They did like an everyday piece of art on social media where it like featured different characters, the different classes, different like NPCs and stuff. So it was like, it's 1 month until the expansion release. And then they kind of, you know, put stuff out with that, right? And it wasn't even that they had to do a bunch of big recorded videos and all kinds of stuff. It's just that it got people excited because suddenly they were counting down towards something, right? And so when they'd see the new art go up each day with that number getting smaller, they would get excited about it. And so it is kind of strange to me that they would sort of put this like little bit in here, which I think they wanted to kind of acknowledge some of the features coming with the expansion. But again, we can feel their hesitancy in like selling it as a major thing that they don't want to build too much expectations for. But the real problem with that, I think, is that while I appreciate their communication and honesty, which I really do, because that is something that we've seen a huge improvement in, even in going into like Secrets of the Obscure. There has been a lot more frank conversation that I think has been really helpful from a player perspective. But you want to be sold on the new thing, at least a little bit. Like, you want to get excited about it, and you don't want to feel like they're like preemptively apologizing for parts.
I was just about to say that, actually.
So like, if we're a month out, what I don't necessarily want as a player is like a slightly hesitant blog post that's kind of invested in a new thing that they're releasing in their expansion. Like, I would rather just have them do something even as inconsequential as an art countdown, or like, you know, have run like a community fan art contest leading up to this, and then, you know, put that art out, you know, each week or something, even like leading up to the expansion release, or have a bunch of little videos with content creators like saying what I'm most excited about coming up in Janthir Wilds for Guild Wars 2, or
release some type of the making of video format where you get into the minutia of like the mechanics, the art, the lore. Do some like character showcases with the bosses as well, so that
we don't know that they
of them.
Haven't got this stuff coming, at least with this, with
so.
the raid stuff in mind specifically. That, sure, absolutely. We know that, you know, when they brought is it like Weeping Willow did the Mount video, which was very cool. Like, that was a really good thing they did with that. That was a good example of something very different as well. More is good. I just keep giving us more. When they did the, we were all really excited about how much content they released in the first like week or two of the announcement of the expansion, right? Like, we were just like, oh my god, this is so good. A time of, you know, things are going to change. We're going to get so much stuff. We're going to get videos. We're going to get like content. We're going to get blog posts every week. We're going to get this, that, the other. And we kind of did a bit. Definitely. Probably not more than the past, but like, oh no, maybe a little bit more than the past, but not a lot more.
It feels better than Soto.
Yeah, that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it does.
Probably still not on like Heart of Thorns level. Although I wonder if
I don't think anything will touch Heart of Thorns level of marketing. That was insane. They were eating it up during Heart of Thorns, and I loved every bite of it.
ridiculous. But yeah, it was
it's weird.
yeah.
This is just me. This is me processing everything.
Sure.
I hope that if it's not this expansion, that next year's yearly expansion, if they are feeling more confident in this new cycle, I hope that they really do take a look at when they are pacing out a lot of this. Because yeah, like Jeb, like you're saying, we might very well get a few more things. We might get some stuff leading up to it. But if you're already sub 1 month away from your new expansion drop, and like people don't have a lot of stuff coming in, I think it does lead to a bit of this like, like, you know, it leads to a little bit of confusion. And I think there was some really good stuff from coming up to this, but like Guild Wars 2 has, I mean, they've long had this problem, right? And I think that like if you have a new expansion coming, the big amp up for your expansion needs to be happening bare minimum 3 months before that expansion launches. Like,
oh damn,
bare minimum. You need.
I was like, I'm good with 2 weeks.
But this is the thing.
But that's
though,
the
like,
expectation you have now because of the game being doing it, because it's been doing it for so long. That's the problem.
Yeah, but like, look. I mean, look at it with Again, I hate to do this. I wish I could actually speak more specifically to like ESO's expansion cycle, but I think ESO starts
January.
advertising the new expansion January of each year before the final portion of their ongoing current expansion has even ended fully. And like with 14, they cycle it where like, maybe I'm wrong. Is it usually already out at that point?
So they release the expansion in the middle of the year, but the story begins in January, or story begins early in Q1, right? So it's not always the same time. So they release 2 dungeons, they have a story, like a prelude, and then have like the expansion in the middle of the year, and then they have 2 dungeons, and then they do another little story bit.
Yeah. So they do technically the advertising, the pre-advertising for the new expansion that's starting that year begins like roughly in January.
And then it's May, early June for console release.
Gotcha.
So that's like 5, but it's still what you're saying, because it's still, the expansion isn't technically released until June, like the big piece with like maybe the new class or the new, you know, crafting or whatever, like that's when it releases. So you're right, like, you know, that is still 5 or 6 months of like, whoa, get ready to wear extra rubber brown safety pants. Right.
Yeah, so I mean I feel like people have been a lot more excited and more engaged coming into this one, right? Because we have had a few pieces of, you know, stuff that people have been pumped about. Those like trailer videos for each of the spears, the preview of the housing, stuff like that, right? But yeah, hopefully next year some of their hesitancy about this will be a little bit more sorted, and they will feel more confident about hyping up what they are delivering. Because I do think that's something where, like, I get that they don't want to like oversell things to a point where it creates friction in the community if players feel like things haven't been perhaps delivered in a certain way. But I would also just argue
that they're not selling it at all.
I would say
that's the
I
thing,
would rather
Rick.
someone oversell something than moderately sell it, because it just it leaves you very in a weird state where you're like, are you excited about it?
I wonder. I do wonder about that though, because I think Rick, you were talking about this earlier with the having learned something from the last. Well, they've not learned something. They're learning a lot of things, but with the production schedule they're on, the second expansion won't necessarily have all of the bits and pieces fixed from the last expansion. There's no possible way they could have everything fixed, because they would have started production before the last expansion even came out. So you know, there's no way that they could go back and retroactively change all of this stuff for the expansion to come out, when it is. So it's like, it's going to be, it'll be the next one where we see even more improvement, right? So I wonder, is it a purpose? I can't believe that this is purposeful, but like in a way where they're like, we're still testing and stuff, and maybe we won't oversell. I like how I'm coming up with reasons as to why they wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a firm stance.
Like, feels bad,
Out
man.
of all, I have to take a firm stance. I have been left with this, and my current truth of Guild Wars 2 Janthir Wilds is that I don't know what I'm going to be doing in this expansion. I don't know what the conflict is. I don't know what the enemies I'm going to be fighting. I mean, we've seen.
You're
like,
going to be building
raiders.
Homestead. That's what I'm going to be doing.
But like that is the only
That's where I am.
content that they've shown off by a PC gamer, which was really smart. It was the Homestead. We haven't seen any environment tours. We haven't seen any in-game fighting of the primals, what the primals are. I thought it was a really big swing and a miss that they did not film the spear videos in Janthir in the newer zones with newer environments and lighting. They filmed them in the old zones, which, at the time I didn't really think about it. But now that we are in this moment of Janthir Wild is like around the corner, and I still haven't seen anything as to what I'm going to be doing or who I'm going to be fighting, I'm like, this expansion feels more of a mystery to me than Secrets of the Obscure in a way. I just don't know what I'm going to be doing.
There's
Other than
secrets.
homesteads.
There's secrets in Janthir Wilds, but not in Secrets of the Obscure.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a good one.
It is interesting. It is interesting, right? And the thing is
good.
like, okay, so for all that we've had some discussion and critique specifically about like this blog post and how it perhaps undersells raids, I do think that like this expansion has some phenomenal stuff coming, and like the homestead stuff that they showcased, I don't want to undersell this because like that really is massive. Like, and the way they implemented it is phenomenal. Like, talk about not just like barely meeting the bar, like they so far surpassed what I think they even needed to do bare minimum for player housing, that like that alone, I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again, that alone is like worth the price of this expansion to me. You know what I mean? Like they could have just been like, it's just houses, and I would have been like, okay, $25, here you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
I mean, when they came out with all of that stuff, I said, this could be the best expansion outside of Half Once. Like easily.
Yeah.
Like there's no problem. Like so.
I just some of the other things I want to see more of. And Kurf, I think you are bringing up a great point. It's like, I think why they need to look at a slightly longer advertising cycle is the fact that like we as players need to be building in our minds the picture of what is happening. And the amount of players I have spoken to recently where I have said Janthir Wilds is coming in a month and they go, there's a new expansion? And I'm like,
really? That's interesting.
Yes.
Oh dear.
And like a lot of the players that
like,
are
not active players. Even active players? Really? Oh, but that's fair. Like that's valid, right?
I've had quite a few who, until the housing video, had no idea that there was an expansion, and like that's not to say that the ones who are really, really intense players have not been keeping tabs, because a lot of our mods that really actively play the game, or some of the folks have been in it, but a lot of people were taking a lot of big hiatuses through Secrets of the Obscure with some of the later content, I should say, specifically. And a lot of folks who, even in our raid groups that would be the most excited about a new raid coming, had disengaged or fallen off to some degree. And so it's doubly important that if you're going to be bringing in more content that would appeal to them, that you are hooking them into that and selling that to them. And so, yeah, a lot of folks, when I've explained the expansion and what's coming up, they're immediately super excited about it. And they're like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah, they've got a Sims 4 developer doing the housing. And they're like, what? And like, we talk about this, like, and suddenly people are really excited. Or like, we did a little bit of the spear beta and stuff, showing that off and talking about it later. And people were like, oh my gosh, like I might hop back in. That sounds awesome. And I'm like, yeah. But I think we need a little bit more, and I'm sure that as people, maybe they feel like because it's over the course of a year that they can push the advertising cycle up a bit further, because then they'll be advertising over the course of that entire year, or I'm not entirely sure, but I'd like to see them come out with a bit more confidence and swinging, because I mean they are doing some cool stuff, and whatever ends up happening for the future of raids, there's still a lot of excitement to be had for releasing something the community has wanted for so long. Like, even if it is the last one, even if it, and the housing is super cool. And yeah, I want to know what we're actually doing in Janthir Wilds. Like, I want to know what's going on here with all of this.
I just visually want to see something happening.
We'll be pottering around a bit in our homesteads. We'll be riding on a warclaw, and we'll be going up a mountain. Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
With a spear.
And the fact they haven't also
That's basically the expansion.
They haven't done a video showcasing the Warclaw.
They haven't. Not yet.
They
Not yet.
haven't. Like, I really hope in this coming month, less than a month, we see video clips
It's
of
3
them
weeks
in
Tuesday.
Janthir. Because I think the community feels so disconnected from Janthir at this point that I also am like, well, I know I'm going to be in a home instance decorating. And I know I can use spears, but that's applicable to any part of the game. I'm still wondering, how is the first map, because there's no meta, how is that going to play? I want a video showcasing what the content we're going to be doing in that map is going to look like. The second map, I'm fine if we don't see a lot, because it is supposed to be like the more, the meat of the story. I don't necessarily want a whole bunch of spoilers. I just want like topical, what are we doing for questing? What are we doing for the events? How are those going to look? And I don't feel like we've gotten any of that. And I'm just like, I'm in a waiting period of like, okay.
I like Fendril says in chat, I'd hope we get a small teaser next week. And I'm like, that's now where we are with our expectations of this.
Yeah, a gameplay trailer.
Like a small teaser 2 or 3 weeks before the expansion comes out. And I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of what we all think. And that's sad.
Can I have some more?
Yeah. I was thinking about that.
I think 2 to 3 weeks they could do it. I think 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. I think that would be. I mean, it's not what other games do, but I think for Guild Wars 2, they could maybe pull something off in that time frame.
Maybe Rook needs to do that. Maybe Rook needs to do that again so that we can get some more.
Rainanette, can I have some more Janthir Wilds? Just a crumb more, wee bit. Just something.
Some music, some concept art.
I'll dance for it.
Food for the ears, just something, please. I want
something.
Please. Yep. I agree. I would love that. I would love that. So I hope we do get something more. I mean, we'll all be playing it here, and there's a lot of stuff I'm super pumped about for this expansion. I would love, from the creator perspective, if they did give us another opportunity to do something like some kind of preview of something, so that we could, plan and put some videos out and stuff like that, on a larger scale to even mobilize the community.
Oh yeah.
But like,
that's a great idea.
they haven't.
I forgot about that.
Wow.
They have not contacted any of us about it yet.
I wasn't even thinking about that. But I was like,
so,
that actually would be a smart idea.
I mean, yeah, like if they don't have the budget to do other stuff, like just let us do something. I mean, I get that working with creators and talent is its own difficulty, and it still takes manpower and energy and time, as well as worries about things like, a breach of NDAs and stuff like that. But I would love to see them mobilize more, because like, there is a way to sell this expansion, whatever you give. The fact that right now, like, for a whole year of content, you only pay $20, $25, $30 for it. Like, that's something that they could make their entire selling point. Like, they could bring people in for a campaign and be like, why Guild Wars 2 is the best gameplay for your value. Like, like they could easily do something like that, even if they were worried about the scale or scope or other things they're still ironing out with it. And I'd love to see them mobilize and reach out further to either the content creators or even just, have more of a platform themselves to speak about the game beyond this, because there's a lot of cool things, and I am so curious about Janthir Wilds, and I really do want to play it, and I'm excited to play it with everybody. in less than a month. So-
Yeah.
We have
So,
how
yeah.
many more shows left? 3 shows, potentially. I mean, I was hoping that we were going to do a show a week. I mean, I know people haven't been around, but that's not really the reason why we haven't done shows.
We are like 3 weeks out.
yeah.
Three and a bit weeks. Like I was really hoping for like a show a week, doing what we did even during End of Dragon. If I go back to the videos we had for even just End of Dragons, like we had
End of Dragons was
loads
fun.
going. I mean, I know that there was elite specialization, so that was a big bulk of it for I think we were kind of looking forward to a lot of that. But like
bulkier expansion.
we had a lot of shows. We were watching the guild chats a lot live.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
Like
go chat.
having reactions to them and like talking about them. And I know, that's not something they do anymore, but like, yeah. Now we've just kind
There
of
used
got
to be betas
the
for expansions.
yeah.
Remember that?
We've
And Heart
kind
of Thorns and Path of Fire, they had betas.
They have betas. I like even if you don't want to do betas, I mean, yeah, something like the creator early access was wonderful to let people create different videos featuring different parts of the expansions. Icebird Saga got a staged event at PAX. And like I get
Iceberg Saga did.
One
Iceberg
time.
Saga did. Like, right? Like that deserved that.
Free content that no one paid for.
I mean,
Yes.
if they'd set up like a little house in PAX or something, like where you can just, and it showed you
A
some items that they
homestead.
crashed. Yeah, exactly.
What
And they like
if
showed
it
you
was,
that.
like, the inside of a homestead, and they had like a couple
Yeah.
monitors up. And
Absolutely. And like just had
I mean, yeah.
play of it. And they just had an instance and that's all it was. PC with the instance and you can just had a bunch of items and like, we've got this new feature. Ride
and, like-
a dragon and also kit out your homestead at the same time.
They've done like the little mixer events at PAX West the last couple years, right?
Mhm.
But like even the one for like Secrets of the Obscure, like granted the timing of the expansion start and stuff is before PAX normally is. But like even so, the one last year was not themed to Secrets of the Obscure. Like I think maybe they had like maybe a banner or a couple banners that were,
They
Secrets of the
normally
Obscure.
aren't often.
But like
My
that's the thing
experience,
for me
but
too though.
they
Like
could
if
do.
you have a new
could.
expansion cycle that just started and you have an event in a space that you're renting out at a convention, like
Mhm.
like adjacent to a convention, I guess I should say, like you should be selling the thing that you just released. Like you said, even if you just had some PCs that demoed Homestead and you had some cute little recreations of stuff around the, it'd be really cool. Or even if you were like giving away a couple copies of the new expansion, or before you set everybody loose to eat and have drinks or whatever, you had a video that was like this year in Guild Wars 2, or like coming up, or recently released Janthir Wilds, or like
Yeah.
it's just like something even like that. I know it's much more of a kind of connect with the community and sort of event, but yeah, it's very funny to me because
Doesn't mean-
sometimes
I think you're right though.
yeah, I don't know.
I think you can definitely. I mean, if you,
connect to the
mean-
furry community, do some like code and stuff. I like that.
I mean,
No, wait, that's actually a really
Potentially.
great idea.
but like, there is like, I mean, I've been to a lot of other events for a lot of other games, and that's kind of exactly what they do. So yeah, it's totally valid. Like it's always been an interesting one with that side of things, and it's always made me think, well, why is this? And they've done it in the past, like Heart Pawns, and I keep bashing on about that, but that was almost 10 years ago, people. So might have need to let go of that one.
Yeah, I think it's time to
Oh,
put
God.
down the Heart of Thorns, Jebro.
Might be. It's
We're gonna pry it out of your
2024.
hands.
Mhm.
You don't
No,
need this
don't.
anymore.
Don't
No,
take it
I
away. We also don't know if Arena and I are working with partners right now to create stuff, because even if we did know, we couldn't tell you because we're under NDA. So like, we don't know that there's stuff coming. If there is, good. Like, that's going to be cool. I do know that I do feel like that there has been more and better stuff, I feel like they're restricted somewhere, and I don't know why. But that always seems to have been a thing. So, you know, and we've flogged that horse so many times. We've killed that horse, we've revived it, we've got necromancers in, we've made like a weapon to clone it, we've killed it again, it's been flogged. We're like, will you be able, there's nothing left. You know, and there's nothing left, there's just ashes. We're just like throwing the ashes around in hope that we're going to be able to create some kind of spell to revive.
Okay. Then let me bring some hype on ArenaNet's behalf, because you're right. We have talked at this point about the marketing into the ground. So let me bring some hype. This is awesome. Players have been asking for raids in Guild Wars 2 again for over 5 years. We didn't think that we would get any more. And here they are, creating another one, releasing another one. We have an expansion that's grounded in the world, that has a context and connection that has always been of interest to folks, with Janthir, with the enigmatic floating eye that, yes, reaches back to Guild Wars 1, but also takes us forward into the future. We've got bear people for the furries, and we have, and I love you, you're all amazing and you're incredible, and I love the bear people myself too. And we have, for the first time ever, a version of raids coming out where you can enjoy the story, you can get interested, you can experience some of the bosses, and you can build yourself up if you have been interested in jumping in for raids. I think all of these things are setting them up for success with raids. I encourage everybody to give it a shot. Get in there for the 50-man version, run it a bunch of times, see if you start feeling comfortable. Look for those raid groups, whether it's our communities, whether it's other groups that are going to be forming, to give this a try. Or if it's even just one day where you're like, I think I'm going to LFG it, or you want to start a group that's like a learning group or first-time raiders group, do it. A lot of times the LFG will be full of folks that are already experienced in raiding. But you don't have to be a god tier ridiculous gamer to raid in Guild Wars 2. You never have had to have been. And even if you only kill one boss, even if you spend the whole night wiping with people, you still get rewards for doing it, which is something unique to Guild Wars 2. Based off the progress you make, you get magnetite shards, you get other rewards. So get in, try it, learn it, give it a shot. And I love that they are doing this for Janthir Wild to try to make it accessible, to allow people to get into those stories, to make it a part of the bigger story and give us some other action. And I hope that it's successful. So yeah, do it. This is our first big release for raids in a while. It should be some great content and fun in the story itself. And you know what? Whether it's the last raid and you can say that you were a part of it, or it is the first of a new wave of raids, this is a great time to get into it and see if you might like this kind of content in Guild Wars 2.
At the end of the day, you can say that you were there. And that's what matters. I think this will give a great opportunity for players and the community in general to tap back into raiding and PvE style content, to connect with their friends, and most importantly, to connect with their guilds again. Because there are a handful of reasons to currently interact with the guild systems, to have a channel where you can connect with other people. And I think raids are a great foundation for that community and for that connection. Strikes maybe a little less so, but they're still there. Strikes are very easy to get into, and they are very frequent on the LFG, so there's that convenience. But with raids, you might feel a little bit more inclined to reach out to some of the guilds that you're a part of, to see if they're forming any groups. You can of course start your own guilds, your own groups. So I think there's a big boon that raiding can bring to the game. And it's just a matter of time before we see some trailers around what might be happening in that raid. But I'm very excited for this PvE content to return in this format, especially.
Excellent. I'm going to end the podcast there, I think, because that's a good place, I think, to end. I'm not going to add anything because you both awesomely did well with your things. Okay, cool. Raids, convergences, all the things. Good. Yes. The end game content. That's what it is. Hopefully there will be other stuff in the expansion that we're going to enjoy, like maps and creatures and all the other things that will definitely be there by the time we get to the 20th of August, right? I'm pretty sure. Resounding yes.
Yeah.
Resounding
sure.
yes.
Yeah. There's gonna be something else. They're not gonna-
Oh yeah, there will be. There will be.
There'll be a few things. There'll just be like at the beginning, they're like, take this boat to your homestead, and here's a spear. Go do a raid.
That was the expansion.
That's it. I mean, to be fair, that's some good content right there. Oh yeah, you've got Warclaw as well. I'm mostly being a bit of an arse. We love ArenaNet, we love the things, but we do love to also have the expansion sold to the masses so we can get more players in and the game can last forever until the day we all die. Which is a long time in the future.
So morbid.
Oh dang.
Morbid or celebratory? I mean, that's talking about the Guild Wars 2 at least surviving another 40 or so years. That'll be like in my 80s by then.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess I thought, like, what if you were cursing us? Because, like, what if Guild Wars 3 does come out, but the moment Guild Wars 2 ends, we've all been bound by magic to this, and we just all
I know. I
feel
want
right
Guild
over
Wars
it.
3 and Unreal Engine 5.
I don't know if I can adjust to that.
Well, you get some glasses, you'll be fine.
You won't have to, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to dial it up.
Okay, Rickery. Steady on, love.
Unreal Engine 5.
No, even if you're like 90 years old, Jeb, I think you'll still be playing. You'll try to play.
I'll still have the
Unreal Engine
hairset.
5 version
Some
of
things
Guild
will
Wars
never
3.
change, Rook.
Yeah,
Some things
I'm
will
actually
never
gonna
change. Not my
regress.
hairstyle.
I'm just gonna be playing Guild Wars 1. Like,
You're gonna Benjamin Button?
yeah, we're back to Guild Wars 1.
Oh God, no jump. Jesus. I don't know about that one.
You can emote a
It's a
jump.
bit much. You can emote a jump, but you can't actually do it in combat. I mean, I guess
Kids
can
these
you?
days thinking they need jumps to have fun in a video game.
In my day.
Now they just hit the space bar. Back in my day, I had to do /jump, enter. That's the equivalent of I used to walk 25 miles to school, back and forth in the snow. Now you just press your button, you gotta jump. What is that?
They're spoiled. They're spoiled kids these days.
They don't know the value of hard work.
Talking about
They just
hard
think
work.
everything's handed to them.
Griff, you're supposed to be going soon.
I know I am, and I gotta pee.
Well,
Big
then
joke,
time to
Griff.
outro. What do you do? What do you do? Tell us. Sell yourself like Guild Wars 2 does. Next one.
Hi everyone. So you
Sorry.
like maybe I don't know, maybe if you wanna come by my YouTube channel, there might be a video next time. I don't know. But if you don't like the YouTube format, we do have this public Twitch format, so you can go there too. So that one's fine. But the YouTube, I don't know. So thank you. I mean, if you can pay, you can purchase it if you can subscribe if you want. You don't have to, but it's there. So. Thank you for coming on by.
Rookery. The same for you. Sell yourself like you would if you were an expansion for Guild Wars 2.
Oh God, what? Okay, well then I'll say nothing.
That's exactly the point.
So mean.
That's what I mean. Make it short and
I'm
snappy.
kidding. Oh, I'm so sassy today. I'm so sassy today. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm smarmy. I'm smarmy today.
Today.
You can find, I'm smarmy always. And if you like smarminess always, come by my channel, Rookery, twitch.tv Rookery. That's ROOKURI. You can also find me over on YouTube at Rookery. You can find me on Twitter at Rookery_. We bring lots of MMORPG action, laughs, good times, community, and enjoyment of the games we love with an occasional dash of smarminess. But we will definitely be doing all the new content as it comes out for Guild Wars 2. And don't mind the sass too much. I genuinely love the game, and I am genuinely excited about Janthir Wild. I can't wait. But yeah, you can find me over there. And let's see, next week, Race to World First, depending on when you're watching this, will be happening in Final Fantasy XIV, and I will be on desk for that. So, if you're curious about seeing some endgame over there, be sure to tune in, and we can keep in mind as we look ahead to the raids and the different tiers of difficulty coming in Guild Wars 2 as well this expansion.
Oh, yeah. And if you want to check out the Lightbringers podcast, twitch.tv/JebroUni on a Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific when it's on. Hopefully, we will have shows every Friday until the expansion launches, which is only 3 weeks, and we get enough to talk about. So we actually have a show. I'm hoping for something very special. Hoping. We'll have to keep you updated. Also on youtube.com/JebroUni as well. You can also check the podcast out there. If you Google the Lightbringers Guild Wars 2 podcast. You'll find it on many different platforms. You can also find it on Spotify as well, where you can watch the videos or listen to just the audio. Also on iTunes. If you do something where you can chuck a review, give us a 5 out of 5. We'll see you next time. Lightbringers podcast. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If we don't see you before the expansion comes out, happy expansion. We should do. I hope we do.
Oh, we will.
Oh, we will.
I'll
We
host it on my
will.
channel if we need to.
No, I mean, like, if they give us news. That's what I mean.
Yeah, we'll
They will.
get some.
Yeah. It'll happen. It'll be fine. See you next time. Bye, everyone.